Prime Minister chairs top-level meetings. Second key security meeting in 1 week. Five high-profile huddles today. Top security body revamped. Prime Minister gives free hand to forces. Unimaginable punishment for Pakistan, loading. All eyes on India's Pak retribution. Big focus on 5 Live. And we'll kickstart this edition with some news just coming in. Prime Minister Modi holding key meetings, has chaired the Cabinet Committee on Security, reviewing the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, chaired the Political and Economic Affairs Committee meeting as well. The Prime Minister's super cabinet meeting today. Home Minister Amit Shah to chair a big meeting at 8 this evening. So meetings after meetings today to discuss the way forward as far as the government's strategy vis-a-vis Pakistan and retribution for Pahalgam is concerned. And we have more news coming in at this point in time. The Cabinet Committee on Security, headed by Prime Minister Modi, is understood to have reviewed the overall security situation in Jammu and Kashmir amid speculations about India's possible response to the Pahalgam terror attack. The Cabinet Committee on Security took place a day after Prime Minister Modi held a meeting with the top defence brass on the Pahalgam attack. It was attended by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the Home Minister Amit Shah and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. People familiar with the matter have confirmed. I'm going straight across to Shivani Sharma, getting in more details on that big story that she's tracking. Meet Farid continues to be with us from Srinagar as well. Shivani, to you first, an important meeting, the second one in the last 1 week or so, which means 2 meetings on the topmost body of the government to review the strategic and security situation vis-a-vis a response to Pakistan after the horrific terror attack from last Tuesday.
Sneha, this was again a crucial meeting that was headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this was the second consecutive CCS happened in this week after the Pahalgam attack. And as we have been reporting since last 1 week, Sneha, the Indian government has been preparing on multiple domains, multiple fronts, not only the diplomatic but also on ground. And yesterday, the most important and the most crucial meeting of Prime Minister, Defence Minister, NSA and the 3 service chiefs along with the CDS was held, and 3 important points were indicated by the sources after this meeting happened. Number 1, that the terror has to be crushed. The second, the government relies and it has full faith on the forces. And number 3, that full freedom, the full operational freedom has already been given to the forces. Now it is the choice of the forces when and how they decide to hit hard on Pakistan. And Pakistan keeps guessing, Sneha. Pakistan is in utter confusion and fear, and it has been jittery while we have been preparing silently for a very hard attack on Pakistan's terror state. But as of now, what we are learning through the sources is that India is preparing on all its possible fronts, be it the Army, Navy, Air Force, be it the counter-terror operations that go on in Jammu and Kashmir, be it the responses that Indian Army has been given to the unprovoked fire by the Pakistani Army, the ceasefire violations it has been conducting. So we've been holding the DGMO level talks, raising the issue with the Pakistani Army, and now we see that they have been violating this ceasefire even on the international border. But the Indian Army, Navy and Air Force, they are preparing, and the Prime Minister is monitoring all these developments personally, and almost every day he's taking the briefs, taking the situation stock by the Defence Minister and also the service chiefs. Sneha.
Well, absolutely. Meetings, one after the other, that have taken place in the national capital. Also today, importantly, to chalk out the strategy for the road ahead. What lies ahead, Mir Farid is getting in more on that story from Srinagar. Mir, India preparing plans for retribution, a fine-tuning that plan really for retribution. Talk to us about the situation in the valley with intense operations underway to nab down those behind the horrific attack on last Tuesday in Pahalgam.
Yes, Sneha. In fact, there are layers to the response of the security agencies. We know that the operation, the main operation to catch this squad of Lashkar are happening in and around Pahalgam. Now, because of the sensitivities connected with the operation, obviously I won't be able to give you the exact locations, but I can tell you that they are hot on their trail. There are thousands of security force personnel on this operation. Then you have the other part which the NIA is investigating. Now, as we know, NIA investigations are complete. They have to unearth the plot from the scratch, and they cannot leave any detail untouched. So this has to be, in fact, attention to detail, attention to the minutest details. So this probe is going to take a long time. You also have to understand the number of eyewitnesses. There are thousands, almost 1,500 tourists, if not more, who each one of whom the NIA will have to speak, because anyone can give a detail that can be crucial. Then you have the service providers. Each one has been questioned. The visit to the crime scene, evidence, etc. So all those things are happening. This is how the NIA operates. This is how it investigates terror cases. But if you look at the overall security scenario, this incident has definitely shattered the fragile peace that Kashmir Valley was witnessing. Last 3-4 years were going absolutely fine, and people had started to invest in peace. But suddenly, I spoke to the Gen Next people who came out openly against this attack, which we haven't seen in the past in the Kashmir Valley. The young leaders who led the charge, they say that they really are disturbed by the fragility of peace in the Kashmir Valley, and this is something that should not happen. Fundamentals of peace should be very strong. One incident should not be allowed to shatter peace. But unfortunately, the sequence of events that's happening, especially the tension on the LOC and the preparation of a military punitive response to the Pahalgam attack, obviously keeping people on the edge in the Kashmir Valley, and who are uncertain and don't know what's going to happen next. Sneha?
Well, absolutely. We'll come back to you in a moment from now. Mir, getting in those details from Srinagar on the situation in the valley as we speak. Aishwarya has been tracking the important meetings that have taken place in the national capital today, all of them chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the head of the government here, and also Shivani. And Aishwarya, in fact, Kamaljeet Sandhu also continues, in fact, to be with us. Kamal is tracking those details. She is in Pahalgam as we speak. But before I go to my colleagues, a look at the high-level hurdles of Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. Let's take a look at what were the meetings that took place today. The Cabinet Committee on Security was the first body to meet today, an important meeting that took place. The Prime Minister chaired it. Then there was a meeting on the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, which is the CCPA. A third meeting was the Cabinet Committee meeting on Economic Affairs. This is the CCEA. And there was a fourth meeting of the entire cabinet that took place. Also, there was a side meeting, a pull-aside really, between Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister and the Home Minister, is what our reporters are telling us. Shivani continues to be with us. Aishwarya is also with us. Aishwarya, I was speaking with you earlier also on the manner in which the government has been in a huddle led by the Prime Minister, the chairperson of all of these committees, where one after the other discussions have ranged from strategic affairs, security to the political affairs, including economic affairs, because the CCEA also met today. Essentially, it's a long-drawn strategy or roadmap that the government seems to be charting out at this point in time, isn't it? And of course, all of this in the context of the big attack that took place in Pahalgam last week.
Well, Sneha, one of the things that the government does not take lightly is when the world tries to make sure that they do not give India its due. And we have seen that since 2014, since Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister, he's made sure that things change on a global level. Now, with these kind of attacks happening and 26 innocent lives lost, this is not something that India will let go of. And that's why, if you notice the particular sequence of the meetings that happened, the first meeting, 15 minutes, the CCS, what we'll do next, the nitty-gritties of all those things, that is something that was being discussed. The CCPA, what needs to be done politically, and we just saw the statement coming in from the government. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav speaking about it. The caste census will be done as part of the census by next year, 2026. Then we had the economic affairs meeting, which means that where the economy of the country is going, what needs to be done to strengthen India globally, that was something which was being done. And then the cabinet meeting, in which two important decisions we have seen coming out. The last meeting after this was those 15 minutes, Neha, where Prime Minister Modi sat with Home Minister Amit Shah and with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. So that was the time when all the loose ends were being tied up. What's the final plan? How will they go ahead with regards to the Indus Valley Treaty? Also, what India needs to do, what all needs to be done from our side, how the isolation of Pakistan will happen. And then Rajnath Singh telling Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that's what we are gathering, how our defence forces are ready and in which form the attack will take place. All those things were being discussed. So a full day, we saw the government gearing up towards, on one side, making sure that they make Pakistan pay for this, and on the other side, make sure that the growth that India has seen over the past decade, it continues. Sneha.
Well, absolutely. Be with us. Just coming back to you, because even before these meetings, there have been enough and more strategic messaging from the Prime Minister. Remember when this news first broke out, unfortunately, in the afternoon of last Tuesday, the Prime Minister was in Saudi Arabia. He cut short his two-day visit to one he came back from Saudi Arabia. This was the Prime Minister rushing back, and then he rushed back to the country, like I said, met with the External Affairs Minister and the National Security Advisor at the Delhi airport. And that's where the meeting took place. Essentially, that is the visual or the image of that particular meeting that went completely viral. And was the first meeting on the Cabinet Committee on Security. It was a meeting with the top ministers at the CCS meeting. The Prime Minister vowed unimaginable punishment at a rally in Bihar 2 days later. He used English in Bihar for a message to the world. He spoke in Hindi, and the same message he repeated rather in English, and that was obviously a part of a calculated move to send out a message, not just to people in India, but to the entire world. Meeting then with Rajnath Singh, the National Security Advisor, and 3 services chiefs. So the Defence Minister with the NSA, 3 service chiefs essentially, that took place last evening. The Prime Minister gave a free hand to forces, and that is what was communicated very well in this particular meeting. Shivani is with us. Kamaljeet Sandhu also is with us. But quickly to you, Shivani, first, a free hand to our forces. That was the message of the Prime Minister in a crucial meeting last evening, which obviously is indicative of the things that there will be action, there will be retribution. Make no mistake, at least Pakistan has got this one right with them. Hope, in fact, anticipating that there will be some military action on the part of India, something that the minister spoke about at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Absolutely, Sneha. The message that came was a very strong and stern message, and it has actually given out trembles to Pakistan, and that's why it had to conduct that press conference at midnight, where it said that they are expecting an attack from India in next 24 to 36 hours. So just see the picture, the messaging has been so strong, the message that the Prime Minister, the government has full faith on the forces. Now it's the forces who have to decide when and how they avenge the deaths of 26 innocent Indians. And this also that they have complete operational freedom from the Prime Minister. So now the forces are preparing, the strategy is on, the plan is on. Pakistan keeps guessing, and it is actually in jitters, and that's what we see as reactions on the borders too by Pakistan. But yes, Indian forces will not sit quiet. They are preparing, in fact, for a very big strike on the terror state Pakistan. But yes, because this is a sensitive input, we cannot divulge the details. It is on to the forces to decide when, how and what kind of strike they will be conducting on Pakistan.
Well, absolutely. You know, Kamaljeet, meetings in Delhi, but action on the ground. You're in Pahalgam. Just talk to us about the investigations also in this matter. The NIA team is there. A lot of work was done today as well vis-a-vis 3D mapping. Talk to us about what you saw on the ground vis-a-vis the action of the forces.
What we saw was an unprecedented reaction post the terror attack. One was the ripple effect. What we saw is Prime Minister telling Union Home Minister to be here. But thereafter, what we saw was a swift action because NIA associated with Jammu Kashmir Police, the CRPF, they have been gathering evidence from day one. When formally NIA has taken over, remember, they're looking for clues just in and around, and there are plethora of witnesses, 1,300 in all. They're speaking to vendors, the poniwalas. They go scurrying through videos as well as looking at surveillance of mobile phones whatsoever were active in the vicinity. So it's a mammoth task as such. There are at least 45 members of NIA which are present in Kashmir Valley, some of them in Srinagar, a whole lot of them in Pahalgam, some of them in Baisaran, and it's actually going up and down Baisaran 3-4 times. That's actually an uphill task. But yes, they have been collecting clues. Several of them are vital, crucial evidences found on mobile phone footage, and after which it has also been concluded the identities of the most wanted, Hashim Musa, for instance, Abu Talha, Suleiman, we're talking about Adil Tokar. So they have been the ones who have been identified. But remember, as far as this conspiracy is concerned, to look at this is going to be very, very crucial, because remember, you just don't need forensic. You need evidence which directly puts this particular attack with Pakistan. Now, that's no easy task itself. Even in instance in 2019 Pulwama terror attack, in which 44 CRPF personnel were killed, that also took almost a year. And towards the end of that 1 year, there were some vital clues came in which actually led to the unearthing of the conspiracy. So the team is hard at work, but it's going to take a lot of time. But meanwhile, painstaking details, sequence of events, speaking to eyewitnesses, speaking to all those tourists who actually left ground, that's the thing that is now coming. So a whole lot of investigation is being done, but remember, it's a long way to go.
That's right, a long way to go. The NIA team is there looking into this matter. Arvind Ojha also in Pahalgam and looking at how the investigations are being carried out. Arvind, आप अपने सूत्रों के द्वारा क्या इंफॉर्मेशन पिक कर रहे हैं जहां तक कि NIA की जो ऑपरेशंस है बहुत इंटेंसिफाई हो गए हैं? इनमें 2 या 3 ऐसे लोगों का नाम भी निकल के आया है जो कि पाकिस्तान के साथ डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड है और उनका नाम पहलगाम में एज मास्टरमाइंड निकल के आ रहा है.
देखिए, सुबह के वक्त एनआईए की टीम लोकल पुलिस के साथ जो बैरसन घाटी वहां पर गई थी और ऐसा माना जा रहा है कि कुछ देर बाद इस रास्ते से जो एनआईए की टीम है वो नीचे आ सकती है. सुबह के वक्त टीम गई थी वहां पर जो क्राइम सीन है वो रिक्रिएट करने के लिए. 25 से ज़्यादा जो विक्टिम, उन्हें आप आई विटनेस भी कह सकते हैं, उनका स्टेटमेंट रिकॉर्ड किया गया है और उन्होंने जो बताया है कि किस रूट से टेररिस्ट आए थे, कितने टेररिस्ट थे, वो सारी जानकारी लेने के बाद एनआईए की टीम अब जो बैरसन घाटी है काफी ऊंचाई पर है, वहां पर क्राइम सीन कर रही है. जो पूरा एरिया उसकी 3D मैपिंग की जा रही है और ये माना जा रहा है कि कुछ वक्त बाद, चूंकि ये काफी, अगर आप देखो तो काफी ऊंचाई पर है जो बैरसन घाटी, और ये माना जा रहा है कि कुछ देर बाद जो आज की इन्वेस्टिगेशन है वो कंप्लीट करने के बाद जो एनआईए की टीम है वो नीचे आ सकती है. अलग अलग लोगों से, 100 से ज्यादा लोकल लोगों से, इंक्लूडिंग मुजम्मिल जो जीप ऑपरेटर है, उससे पूछताछ एनआईए की टीम कर रही है. 22 अप्रैल को क्या हुआ था बैरसन घाटी में, उसकी एक्चुअल पिक्चर एनआईए की टीम समझना चाहती है. इस वजह से बार बार बैरसन घाटी जा रही है और वहां पर जाकर इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है. आज भी जो डिप्टी एसपी थे एनआईए के और तमाम ऑफिसर, वो फिलहाल बैरसन घाटी में सुबह के वक्त गए थे और बहुत मुमकिन है कि कुछ देर बाद जो आज की इन्वेस्टिगेशन कंप्लीट हो उसके बाद वो नीचे आ सकते हैं. स्नेहा,
बने रहिए हमारे साथ. Arvind Ojha getting in those details. Also, Kamaljeet, all my colleagues joining in and sharing different inputs on this story, because this is the biggest developing story that we are tracking. Pahalgam, the terror attack and the aftermath of it, on how India is now readying what it intends to do next. We have more news coming in. Let's take a look. Central government has revamped the National Security Advisory Board after the Pahalgam attacks. Ex-RNAW chief Alok Joshi has been appointed the head. The decision comes in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack, which claimed the lives of 26 innocent civilians. Let's tell you a little about the revamped National Security Advisory Board of the NSAB. Alok Joshi, a former chief of the Research and Analysis Wing, RNAW, has been appointed as the head of the National Security Advisory Board. 6 more members have also been inducted into the board. The members include former Western Air Commander Air Marshal P.M. Sinha, former Southern Army Commander Lieutenant General A.K. Singh and Rear Admiral Monty Khanna, all retired military officers. Rajiv Ranjan Verma and Manmohan Singh are the 2 retired members of the Indian Police Service. B. Venkatesh Verma is a retired IFS officer in this 7-member board. Kamal continues to be with us for more on that. Kamal, talk to us about the significance of this move as far as the revamp of this crucial board and the responsibilities of this board's concerned. Get us the specifics here.
See, in the wake of terror attack of Pahalgam, this advisory board has been revamped. The messaging is very clear. One, national security is on top of the agenda, especially in J&K. This is where experienced hands really come in service because remember, there is no looking back, there's no going back. Free hand has already been given to armed forces, but obviously having heavy weights as far as the retired officers are concerned, they're the ones who come with not just a perspective, but a background as far as entire internal conflict, or for that matters, the conflict with Pakistan is concerned. So it's a holistic view that they really get, but also what they advise to the government at a crucial point of time that becomes extremely crucial. Now remember, we already have the armed forces, we already have the paramilitary, we already have security forces, be it Rashtriya Rifles, be it Jammu Kashmir Police, the CRPF, all of them operating. But then there is this hegemony which is led by the advisory group, which will give in perfect advice, a sane advice, and perhaps a moderation as to what can be done and what's the way to go about it. This is a perspective that the government most requires, and that is why this particular revamp really has happened. And remember, coming at a very crucial juncture, because we are standing at a precipice where there is a larger ramification as far as Pakistan is concerned. Remember, open hand already been given by the Prime Minister to the armed forces.
Absolutely. Be with us. In fact, Shivani also is with us. Shivani, the centre revamping this board and sending out an important message about priorities, essentially, and the road ahead as far as, you know, India's preparedness for potential retribution really is concerned. How do you read into what has been done today?
Sneha, actually, this is happening continuously for past 7 days when we are seeing a number of deliberations headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. He is personally monitoring. And today's CCS was also important in terms of analyzing how the strategy goes on, how the plans go on. And on ground, we see the counter-terror operations right from the retaliation to the Pakistani forces to the movement of assets which cannot be disclosed as of now, the counter-terror coordinated operations between the army, the security agencies, the NIA's whole investigation. It is going on, Sneha. And besides that, we've seen how the Indian Navy, Indian Army and Indian Air Force have been conducting multiple exercises on multiple fronts and frontiers. So everything is now into the hands of the forces and deliberations are on. The forces are free to take any kind of operations they think is right, but the time, the target and the way, the means in which it will be done, it is still on to them to decide, and it will be coming, and that's what Pakistan is also anticipating.
All right, Shivani, be with us. I'm requesting all our colleagues to continue to be with us before we come back to them. A look at this report on what Pakistan essentially is also doing. The army initiating unprovoked firing on the international border in Jammu following 6 consecutive days of ceasefire violations along the line of control. The tensions here are only rising given Pakistan prompting retaliatory action from India. Security forces have intensified the operations across this region, across the international border, demolishing the houses of terrorists and their known associates to send a strong message to militant networks. More on this report.
The line of control between India and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir is on fire. Pakistani forces are repeatedly violating the ceasefire with unprovoked firing in different sectors on either side of the Pir Panjal ranges, prompting the Indian forces to respond in good measure. Firing from the Pakistani side is also reported for the first time in this ceasefire violation along the international border, where the Indian forces have hit back strongly in the Pargwal sector in Jammu. The ceasefire violations took place across the LC in Baramulla and Kupwara districts and along the international border in the Pargwal sector on the night intervening April 29th and 30th. Pakistan violated ceasefire on multiple instances in Kupwara, Lipa Valley, along the Neelam Valley sector, Tutmari Gali, Baramulla, Uri, Punch, Naushera, Sundarbani and the Akhnur sectors. Indian forces haven't used howitzers and artillery yet, or even their air defense guns. Pakistan has been using small arms fire. The Indian Army's special forces are deployed in the Kashmir Valley, hunting down terrorists, clearing areas one by one. Security forces personnel deployed in Pulwama, Anantnag, Shopian and Tral have been conducting operations in the southern part of the Kashmir Valley. Jammu and Kashmir Police and CRPF have been tasked with screening all houses and neutralizing overground workers. India's war on radical Islamist terror is gathering steam days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi pledged to crush terror and its backers after 26 people were killed in a horrific terror attack in Pahalgam.
I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism.
With Mir Farid along the LC, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, after the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan really has been at it, violating the ceasefire along the international border several times in the last few days or so. So let's tell you what they've been up to, really. Pargwal international border, the violation took place on the 30th of April. In Kupwara on the 28th of April. In Neelam on the 26th of April. Kupwara again on the 27th. Lipa Valley on 24th of April. Tutmari Gali on the 26th of April. Baramulla on the 28th. Uri 22nd, the same day as the Pahalgam terror attack which took place here. In Poonch on the 27th of April, Naushera sector on the 29th, Sundarbani on the 29th, again Akhnur on the 28th, and then again on the 29th. And a big story breaking at this hour. The Director Generals of Military Operations of India and Pakistan have spoken over hotline yesterday to discuss the unprovoked ceasefire violations by Pakistan. India has warned Pakistan against the unprovoked violations by Pakistan Army along the line of control. LOC is what our defense sources are indicating. Up until yesterday in the morning, the Pakistan Army was violating ceasefire only along the LOC, but now they have escalated the situation by violating ceasefire along the international borders by firing along the international border last night in the Pargwal sector in Jammu. Shivani is with us. Kamaljeet also with us at this point in time. Shivani, it's not just the LOC but also the IB, the international border. But the message has been sent out by India with the Director General speaking to his counterpart in Pakistan, saying enough is enough.
Sneha, the DGMO level talks have happened yesterday where India has raised its concern as a standard operating procedure in such kind of ceasefire violations. And these DGMO level talks have happened several times in past few months where we've seen that there have been unprovoked firing incidents from Pakistan's side even before the Pahalgam attack. So yesterday also once again the DGMO level talks have happened where India has raised this issue of unprovoked firing that has been continued by Pakistan. And Sneha, this is important to understand that Pakistan seems to be actually in a lot of fear, because after these DGMO level talks also it did not mend its ways. In fact, it has expanded this ceasefire violation to the international border also, the IB. Up till now we were seeing that these incidents were happening only in the south of Peer Panjal area, the LOC connected to these areas, but now it has happened in the Pargbal sector in Jammu also, where the international border is now all under the ceasefire violation by Pakistan. So the DGMO level talks have happened yesterday. They might take place further too, as Indian Army will keep on responding befittingly to the Pakistani Army and also resorting to the laid SOPs in such issues.
That's right. Shivani getting in those details as far as the high-level meeting that has taken place. Kamal, this has been, in fact, a big problem for days together now, where Pakistan has, in a way, intensified its activity along the IB, the international border, the LOC, just several violations that have taken place after the 22nd of April even, isn't it?
Well, this was much anticipated. Remember, in the past 8 days, 6 times or so, Pakistani has violated ceasefire violations, and this is where the Indian Army has retaliated in a big way. This is obviously they have to pay a price for whatever consequence they are resulting in, be it the Pahalgam terror attack or be it escalation by using small firearms at the borders, be it Kupwara, Nowshera. They're choosing different sectors to strike. But definitely, this could actually be a massive escalation. The warning sign is coming in from Pakistan because they know that there is an imminent retribution coming in from the armed forces. They do not know the timing, but this is what they really anticipate, and that is why they're actually showing their war preparedness in a certain sense. But remember, targeting the civilian area, doing that kind of a thing is something Pakistan has time and again already done. That's what we've seen in the past few years. But definitely, not honoring ceasefire violation actually exposes them the way they have gone about. But meanwhile, it also means that there is a rising tension at the international border and the line of control. And obviously, there's a high alert which has been sounded. But clearly, Pakistan keeping a very keen eye, because they know that post-Uri, there was a retribution. Post-Pulwama, there was a retribution. Now, after the Pahalgam terror attack, they know something is definitely coming. And this is what Indian government has keeping everything under wraps. But meanwhile, a free hand being given to the armed forces, it means something is definitely in the pipeline. Obviously, this cannot be disclosed by one or by all. So the top notch, obviously holding cards close to the chest. But this is something that we see on ground as well, that Jammu Kashmir police as well as other security forces, there is a ripple effect of sorts, because remember, raising houses of terrorists, 14 of them being identified, there has to be a price to pay for it, is the larger message. Anybody who's providing any sort of support system, logistical support, will have to actually pay a price for that. And this is where, since 2019, an improvement of situation actually brought in the tourists. But that one particular incident has resulted in a huge setback, and meanwhile there is a larger message coming from Government of India, from the Prime Minister himself, who's made it very clear the perpetrators will be hunted down till the end of the earth. Pakistan, without naming Pakistan, but they have to pay a price for the sort of attack that has happened, be it from the non-state actors, but be it from the Pakistan IS or the Pakistani army, which has been instigating and also doing is spreading misinformation. We've seen DGISPR do that in the past few days. So something is definitely coming, and there is preparedness on the ground.
There is preparedness on the ground. Kamal, Shivani, be with us. We'll just come back to you in a moment. More developing news at this point in time. Let's take a look at the story that we are breaking at this hour, telling our viewers a little more about Islamabad. Pakistan's national carrier cancelling all flights to and from Gilgit, Skardu and other areas in the POK. Pakistan's national carrier on Wednesday has decided to do this, cancelling all flights to and from Gilgit, Skardu and other northern areas in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir due to security reasons, is what local media is reporting right now amid rising tensions with India following the Pahalgam terror attack. Citing the flight schedule, reports said the Pakistan International Airlines, or PIA, has cancelled 2 flights each from Karachi and Lahore to Skardu, 2 flights from Islamabad to Skardu, 4 flights from Islamabad to Gilgit have been cancelled, is what the paper said, the newspaper said, quoting aviation sources. Pakistan has intensified monitoring of its airspace amid heightened security concerns over tensions with India. The Express Tribune newspaper has reported on this. For security reasons, all commercial flights scheduled to operate to and from Gilgit and Skardu on Wednesday have been cancelled, quote-unquote, is what the paper has reported. Officials said the measures are precautionary and aimed at ensuring national airspace security during the regional tension. Pakistani authorities have also placed all airports under high alert, significantly ramping up security and surveillance protocols, is what the newspaper has reported on. Kamal continues to be with us. Kamal, just nobody needs, I think, any more proof to see how spooked this country really is at this point in time, isn't it?
One is obviously there is a calculation, there is this estimation that Pakistan is behind us. There is enough evidence. Hashim Musa, who's been a Pakistan regular, he's been a para-commando, somebody who gave up and obviously joined the terror ranks, infiltrated via Samba Kathua border, then thereafter became active in Dera Ki Gali. We've seen terror attacks taking place, and there is an assessment that this is the module which actually was active in Rajouri Punch, where several of the military assets were targeted, thereafter moving to Kokarnag and finally unleashing terror in Baisaran Meadows. What is important is what the NIA does, because remember, International Court of Law requires evidence, and this is where investigating agency like NIA, Jammu Kashmir Police and the other agencies which are actually assisting. And remember, there is obviously a surveillance. 2 mobile phones were snatched by terrorists. Those could be vital clues coming in. 40 cartridges which were found on spot, which also talks about discriminate fire, talks about the weapons. So whole painstaking process is there. But remember, a direct link to Pakistan will be established very well by NIA, and that's a large onus and responsibility they actually have to work on. They are working towards it, because remember, there is a talk about the paid encrypted mobile phone application which seems to be under the scanner. We've seen earlier it's the foreign agencies which have helped crack down several of the cases. This time around also there is a talk about getting those particular experts. So a whole lot of things are really happening in the pipeline, but definitely NIA's primary target is not just to have a sequence of events, but also unleash the larger terror conspiracy about Lashkar role, the resistance front which has been involved, which claimed responsibility. All that is going to be part of the investigation and expose of the Pakistan-based terror conspiracy.
All right. Now, in a series of measures, Kamal, there's a lot more that Pakistan is doing, or Pakistan really seems to be scrambling right here. Fiz-e-Badr and Lalkar-e-Momin, air exercises that have been carried out by Pakistan, plus the force projection and air defense drills, something that the country is doing. This is the kind of step, or these rather are the kind of steps that the country is taking at this point in time. Like we just mentioned, the Fiz-e-Badr, Lalkar-e-Momin air exercises, the force projection and air defense drills, the PAF air drill under Southern Air Command, plus a 3-day exercise, Zabra-e-Haidari, plus JF-17s and F-16s have been deployed. Plus, Saidu Sharif Airport in Swat has been activated as operational airbase. The Skardu Airport in Gilgit-Baltistan also stands activated as of today. Pakistan Artillery Regiment moved from Sialkot to Shakargarh. Sindh Regiment movement observed near Lahore. Pakistan is conducting exercise Hammer Strike as well. Exercise in the Kharian area opposite the Jammu sector. Pakistan could be facing a deep economic crisis as well after the Indian government took strict diplomatic actions following the Pahalgam terror attack in Kashmir. The government's reaction to the terror attack includes halting bilateral trade with Pakistan, suspending the Indus Waters Treaty and more. Each of these actions is expected to put more pressure on Pakistan's already fragile economy.
Any attempt to stop, reduce or divert the flow of water would be responded to with full force and might.
Dangle!
An act of war.
Dangle!
A nervous Pakistan has been raising the stakes. But it should know that a war with India will cost it big time. With its economy in doldrums, Pakistan is already feeling the pinch. The decision to close its airspace to Indian carriers may appear like a strong move, but it may end up hurting Pakistan more than India. It will severely set back Pakistan's aviation revenues with lost in overflight fees from the third largest aviation market in the world. In July 2019, after the Pulwama terror attack, Pakistan closed its airspace and reportedly lost nearly $100 million. Since India's diplomatic strike and a bigger punishment for terror looming, prices of basic food items in Pakistan are soaring. As per media reports, the price of rice has jumped to 340 rupees per kg, while chicken price has surged to 800 rupees per kg. Adding to Pakistan's worries, a recent World Bank report said that more than 100 million people in Pakistan could face extreme food insecurity and starvation this year.
हम खाम में रिटेलिएशन करने के हक में नहीं है. अब हमारी इकोनॉमी अभी कुछ खड़ी हुई है, हम इसको आगे लेके जाना है.
Already struggling with a weak economy, Pakistan now faces even tougher times ahead as India's retaliatory steps threaten to break crucial economic link. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, let's tell you a little about the investigations in this case. The National Investigation Agency has intensified the probe in the attack. The hunt for the butchers behind the 22nd of April Pahalgam terror attack that claimed 26 innocent lives has intensified. Teams of NIA along with forensic experts have reached Baisaran Valley again today, like our reporters had been telling us. Teams will recreate the crime scene also as part of the probe. The National Investigating Agency has deployed a 45-member team to Kashmir, including senior officers like the IG, DIG and SP across Pahalgam and Srinagar. Multiple agencies are also assisting NIA in its probe. So far, the probe has revealed that terrorists were strategically stationed at entry and exit points, infiltrated from different directions and left behind 40 cartridges at Baisaran. All available attack videos are also under scrutiny, including the one of the zipline, the tourist-made video. The zipline operator in question here is also being looked at. His role is being looked at. According to the NIA sources, name of the terrorist, Farooq Ahmed, has surfaced in the Pahalgam terror attack. Farooq Ahmed is a top commander of the Lashkar. He is hiding in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. This after Hashim Musa was identified as the mastermind behind the killing of 26 people in Pahalgam. He is believed to be a former soldier trained as a Pakistani para-commando. Musa's group, known for high-level tactics and evasion in Jammu and Kashmir. Shivani is with us. Kamaljeet also continues to be with us. Kamal, talk to us a little about the two people specifically of interest right here. Hashim Musa's name had appeared earlier as well, and now there are in fact more names surfacing, and no surprises, all of them with a link to Pakistan, isn't it?
As mentioned to you, Hashim Musa was the one who's been a para commando, who was a Pakistan regular. But definitely once he crossed over, he is a non-state actor and the one leading, because I mean, the estimation by the NIA and the intelligence agencies is that such ruthless killing, the way people were segregated, the motive, let me tell you, NIA is saying is to damage the communal harmony, not just in Kashmir Valley, but in the rest of the country as well. And that is the motive that they came in to destabilize the country, to create panic of sorts, giving setback to Jammu and Kashmir terrorism. This is actually a knife on the heart of tourism right here. So all this is a matter of investigation. But yes, new names are coming up. There are obviously links as far as Bilal is concerned. Many say he operated from Kupwara. Thereafter, from 1996 to 2016, a gap of just about 20 years or so, or 10 years or so. This is where he'd been going up and down, infiltrating and exfiltrating back to Pakistan, and thereafter having assets here. Now, sleeper cells or creating overground worker network is something several of those people who actually belong to Kashmir have done for Pakistan for several years. And these are the ones who've been an asset of Lashkar-e-Taiba. So all this is now going to be a part of investigation. What and who had the role to play as far as the entire conspiracy is concerned. But meanwhile, the sketches are out. This is based on just the intelligence-based feedback. Several of the videos pointing out that the same module was active in Rajouri Punch. Thereafter, conclusive evidence will be given by NI, which is to actually join the dots and obviously the figures leading back, the trail leading back to Pakistan.
Trail leading back to Pakistan is what needs to be established at this point in time, isn't it, Shivani? Pakistan has been saying, you know, where is the credible proof? Not like if you give them proof, they act on it. Dossiers had been given, even when the 26/11 attacks had taken place, but nothing that the country had done. However, the proof, the link is something that needs to be conclusively established as well as a part of the protocol, as a part of the investigations in this matter, isn't it? And link is being clearly drawn to Pakistan.
A clear link has been drawn to Pakistan. The iCards of the terrorists who have been neutralized in recent terror operations in Jammu and Kashmir, Sneha, remember, they all have Pakistani iCards. And it's actually not necessary, but the whole world accepts and acknowledges that this particular attack has also been in association with the terror camps and terror outfits that are being harbored in Pakistan, nurtured in Pakistan. The kind of statements that are now sheltering TRF and endorsing TRF are very much evident and very much a proof of the fact that Pakistan is the one which is responsible for this particular attack. But still, the Indian forces will be coming out with proper linkages, proper proofs, that so that once again in black and white, it can be given to Pakistan and to the global community that Pakistan has been harboring and pushing terrorism inside Indian boundaries.
All right. Getting in those details is Shivani and Kamaljeet. We are talking about the tensions between both the countries and how they are only escalating at this point in time. Let's tell you a little more about how world leaders continue to stand with India in its fight against terror. UK, the United Kingdom, reiterated its stance to provide full support to India in its fight against terror. The UN chief has spoken to both India and Pakistan, though External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar received a call from the UN chief and appreciated his condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack. During this conversation, they agreed on the importance of accountability. The External Affairs Minister is learned to have said that India has resolved that the perpetrators, planners and backers will be brought to justice. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also dialed the UN chief while rejecting Indian accusations against Pakistan as baseless. Pakistan categorically rejected India's attempt to link Pakistan with the Pahalgam incident, also reiterating his call for a transparent and neutral probe into this matter. Was the Prime Minister from Pakistan. Meanwhile, UK has reiterated its support to India in its fight against terror and called for peace amid escalating tensions.
So we are reaching out regarding the Kashmir situation, India and Pakistan, that he said we are reaching out to both parties and telling, of course, them to not escalate the situation. The Secretary expects to speak with the foreign ministers of Pakistan and India as early as today or tomorrow. He is encouraging other national leaders, other foreign ministers, to also reach out to the countries on this issue. So it is, again, as I've noted, every day action is being taken. In this case, the Secretary speaking directly to his counterparts in India and Pakistan, we expect certainly the impact he's usually had with the individuals he's spoken with.
This is a very sensitive situation with real risks to regional and wider stability. Understandably, Mr. Speaker, there has been huge interest within UK communities. Kashmir has been a flashpoint for conflict between India and Pakistan at many times over previous decades. The Prime Minister spoke to Prime Minister Modi on the 25th of April to express his condolences on behalf of the British people. The UK condemns all forms of terrorism and the extremism that sustains it, wherever it occurs. Heightened tensions between India and Pakistan inevitably raise concerns about escalation. Effective channels of engagement to safeguard stability in the region are essential.
In order to find effective solutions to these and other challenges, we need to abide by the provisions of the UN Charter without trying to have a selective approach. We need to rely on the UN Charter on all its provision, considering the integral and complementary nature. We spoke out in favor of reforming the UN Security Council and supported India and Brazil to become permanent members.
He spoke separately by telephone with Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and he also spoke earlier in the day with Subramanyam Jaishankar, the Minister of External Affairs of the Republic of India. In his phone calls, the Secretary General reiterated his strong condemnation of the April 22nd terrorist attack that took place in Jammu and Kashmir. The Secretary General also expressed his deep concern at the rising tensions between India and Pakistan, and he also underscored the need to avoid a confrontation that could result in tragic consequences. The Secretary General offered his good offices to support any de-escalation efforts.